Aesthetics Corp. This is Made in House. It's the show where we chat through various topics on design, culture, and the business of creativity. Now say hello and welcome Kary and Angel.
Well. Look who's back.
Look who's back. Guys, it's been like 6 months since we...
8 months. It has been 8 months.
Wow.
I checked.
8 months.
Welcome to Made in House, guys.
Welcome to Made in House. Well, like I said, it's been 8 months since we last released or shared anything with you guys. And so we decided we needed to come back and kick this thing off again. And we wanted to wait for a very specific moment, and the moment is here. And it's basically something that we're celebrating. And so today we're going to kind of open up ourselves quite a bit. We're going to share some personal things that have been going on and walk you through it and kind of share. So the gist of it is
what happened was
GIAD had not, which is God is a designer, Angel's apparel brand. He's wearing the hat. We had not produced anything for an entire year, which
probably longer than that. Yeah.
For an operational business is not a good thing.
No.
And so honestly, the last thing that Angel released was GIAD Base. And that was something that we designed the year before. And we had just gotten the order in at the beginning of last year. So he designed it 2023.
Right.
We got the order in January 2024.
Right.
And we were super excited to launch it. We had a lot of vision for it. And then it sat in our inventory for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then it was like, we have to release this because it's like literally money just sitting there. So we released it. We released it in a poor way.
Very
and
poor.
we'll give context to all of this. And so that was it. And then we were kind of like in a rut for pretty much the entirety of the year. And so we'll walk you through why, and we'll walk you through some of the things that happened. Ultimately, the point of this video and why we're filming it is because two things. Number one, if you're going through any mental health, I don't want to call them issue. I want like challenges or discoveries, because I think that's more of what they are. If you're going through anything like that, we want you to know that you are seen, you're heard, we're with you, we're in it with you. You're not alone. And I think that's something very important, because I think as Angel will kind of share throughout the video, it's important that you understand that like, you're not the only one, and you have people around you that still believe in you and still support you. So that's number one. Number two is we want to put courage inside of you to get up and do the thing that you want to do. How does that song go? We were listening to it today.
Which one?
Oh my God, the video I sent you on Instagram.
Dare you to move?
Dare you to move.
Switchfoot. Shout out.
So today we dare you to move. So hopefully by the end of this video, you feel seen, and then you feel encouraged enough to go ahead and do the things that you want to do. And so
before we get into it, I think you said it perfectly. We've been silent for 8 months, and hopefully we can break down a little bit of what's transpired, not only on the GIAD side of things, just in our home as well. Yeah. This is Made in House, so that means that everything here is a little lo-fi as far as like the home schedule goes. Avon is huge. He's not here for us to
remember he used to come out on the video?
Yeah, you guys, if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see how big he is now. He's talking in Spanish and stuff. So Kary was kind enough to just remind me that, hey, we need to sit down and have a conversation.
By the way, now that you say remind, today is the 2-year anniversary of the GIAD Trademark.
Oh, it is today.
Which we're celebrating.
We're filming July 11th. So wow, that's amazing.
Big deal for you.
It's been a journey, a hell of a journey, guys. Yeah. So we're gonna hopefully break down and talk about it. Talk about some of the struggles that I've had and some of the things solutions and that I've stepped into. And I think that's where we're going. Right?
Okay, so we're going to talk about mental health today. And I'm just going to kick it off. And first question I have for you, because I know we've had these conversations. It was, why have you decided to open up about it? Because I know we've had conversations about you not necessarily wanting. Well, I think it's a process. Number one is
Sure.
like admitting it to yourself.
Right.
And that was a process. And then admitting it to people around you. So like immediate people like me and your family. And then admitting it to people in the third circle, which is like your friends and extended family.
Right.
And now it's like to everyone.
Now I'm going to talk about it to everyone. And I've been meaning to sort of maybe blog about it. And even people that I follow on Instagram haven't necessarily shared what's been going on my end, but which is surprising because I consider myself someone that's actually an optimist and very, very happy, you know. But anyway, so your question was, what the heck happened? Essentially, right?
Why did you decide?
Why did I decide to talk about it?
Yes.
So, in the year of our Lord, 2020, I want to say 2024, really, because it was last year, right?
Yeah.
I have been in a, I have been in a slump for quite some time. And I think like there have been many catalysts as to what put me in the position where I was mentally. One being an investment that we made, remember, in GIAD, that just didn't pan out. It was considered not only base, but I consider it a failure, a big learning that we essentially lost. For us, it was a lot of money and that we're still sort of paying back, right? So after we made that decision and we kind of depleted our liquid cash that was helping us, we had like this nice little cushion and I just made some bad investments. It just kind of deflated any kind of motivation that I wanted to do to continue growing the business, right? God is a designer. And I think the reason, to answer your question before we get deep, the reason I'm talking about it now is because I've realized is that one, I feel like there are many people like me that are in the same boat, in the same position, where you not are just in a slump, but you're dealing with a lot of mental challenges, and whether it's depression or anxiety. And more specifically, I'm not saying, of course, everyone goes through it, but more specifically, us as men, we don't necessarily talk about it. We have to either pretend like we got it all together, it's all good, we're figuring it out. And it's a bit of a, amongst men, so even a bit of a, I want to say a stigma to even bring it up, right? Because the famous two words that men tell each other is man up. Get over it. Get through it. So I shared a little bit on Instagram when I first started the journey, and I got a lot of DMs, even from guys, even close friends of mine that are also seeking therapy or going through their journey because of what I shared. I was open with them, what I was going through. So the goal is I'm sharing it now because hopefully I can encourage both men and women, but in my heart is more specifically men that feel alone, that feel unseen, to let them know that we're with you. I'm going through it with you, and I hope that you leave encouraged, and I can at least give you some tools for the next steps. You know?
Cool.
Why are you?
I don't know.
Guys, by the way, I already feel it. I know this episode may be I was gonna say a wreck. That's not the right word, but I know it's gonna be a roller coaster. There's a lot of emotions involved, you know. So
I don't know. I'm getting maybe because we're talking about it this way. We've had private conversations.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So I do want to say that obviously he has his experience and I have mine. He's the one going through it, and are you okay if we say the specific name?
Sure. I'll just share. I was diagnosed in February, I think it was. I was diagnosed with moderate depression and moderate anxiety. Moderate seems like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but moderate plus and over is, it is, how do you say it?
I guess concerning enough.
Concerning is the right word. Concerning is the right word. And it's the third time I've been diagnosed. I've ignored it for years, the depression, because I'm like, I'm not depressed.
Yeah.
Because when you think about depression, you think about being in the corner.
Yeah, that's what.
Sulking.
Yeah.
With like a cloud over your head and it's raining. That's what you think about. But no, depression looks very different to everyone. So I was diagnosed then, and I'm also, it's not 100% confirmed because I have to do like a full test I have to pay for, but potentially ADHD as well, which is something that I thought was a bunch of BS. I'm a 90s kid, right? I'm middle age now, 44. So we didn't necessarily grow up with, again, it's one of those things where it was kind of a bit of a stigma. So all that sort of compounded on each other, and it all came to a head on an event that I had in February.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, there's something I want to get to, but since you're talking about this now, I want to say something else. And it's basically like the labels, right? And so we're people that we don't like own the label. You know, Angel's very careful about how he says, I have depression. Like, he doesn't say that. And if I say it, he'll catch me on it. It's just meant for us to define what the issue and the problem is and to treat it. So I do want to say that because I know a lot of times people avoid treatment because they don't want to label themselves, or sometimes you go the opposite end and you like over label yourself, and you'll see it on Instagram where it's like
they own their
and so it's none of that. And so I personally wouldn't encourage you to like own it, but just use it to your advantage, right? Leverage the label so that you can get the proper treatment. So I just wanted to say that. But
yeah, and before you continue, I want to say I'm still on the journey. So I'm probably going to say things that aren't necessarily correct as far as like what I think about it or whatever. So just give me the grace, because I'm still, I don't know how many months since February is, but whatever. I'm still sort of on the journey and learning a lot about that stuff. And yeah, for me, the reason why I don't say I'm depressed or my depression is because of what Kary said, is because that's not a label I want to give to myself. And I believe that words have power. Yeah. And if I continue saying my depression, or it's something that I'm sort of speaking into my life, what I usually say is the depression that I'm dealing with, or the challenge that I'm dealing with, or the anxiety, or the ADHD. Not that I want to necessarily that I'm ashamed or disassociate myself, but I want to progress, right?
Yeah.
So I want to kind of get out of it.
You said something really key, is that words have power, and that's what we believe in, right?
Right.
And so we don't want to proclaim things that at the end of the day, it's like we're fighting against or we're fighting for. And we also believe that like we operate from a level of victory already. And obviously this is based on our Christian faith and our belief system, right? But I did want to go back to kind of like the beginning and kind of share, like, I don't think we have like an inception point, but we do know that although you were officially diagnosed this year, we do know that you were most likely dealing with this for a few years. And we'll talk about, you know, the fact that it was not clear. It didn't present itself clearly to any of us. No. But at the first time we were doing marriage counseling, and I was already pregnant. So this was like the summer of 2022. And so we took like a test. And so your result was like you were mildly depressed back then. Yeah. And so the counselor kind of addressed it to you and kind of hinted at like you should probably look into this more. But we ended up not doing it. We just continued our marriage counseling. And then when we felt good there, we kind of stopped therapy altogether. So that was like the first time. And then everything was kind of fine. And then I think when you got hired at Spotify, I think you peaked. I think you were like in a really, like you were in a mountaintop. You felt good about yourself. You felt good about your life. Yeah. You felt good about what you were doing. You felt a lot of purpose. And so like you enjoyed that season a lot.
I did.
And so that was happening. I think you did like 2 years at Spotify. And so we got pregnant while you were at Spotify, and we planned for the future to be at Spotify. And so if you guys are familiar with a little bit of our story, is I left my full-time job at VU Church. And I was going to do more remote work, and he was going to stay with his full-time job at Spotify. And that all kind of changed. Literally 2 weeks after our son was born, he got laid off. And then that's where I think you kind of slumped. And everything that happened with GIAD base
Right.
and the business, I think, was like an added punch that then it was really hard for you to come back from.
Right.
Something about Angel, and he's always been this way. He's always been really good about like bouncing back. And this time it was like he was not bouncing back. And so I remember even some pictures that we took for my birthday, my 34th birthday. Remember in Miami Beach? Every time, I don't like those pictures. Every time I like Avon in the pictures. Every time I look at these pictures, you look like you're not yourself.
Yeah, you said it that day too.
Yeah.
Which I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm fine.
And so what I'm just going to kick off the convo with,
Sure.
and you can take it wherever you want, is like the biggest thing that I noticed and that I would tell Angel is that he was not himself. He lost his sense of joy. He lost his sense of like purpose and his like happiness. And he was kind of like foggy. It was kind of like a shell of my husband. And I think towards the end of what led him to get treated, he'll talk about all of that. It was almost like it was a shadow of my husband. And I communicated those things to him, but we just didn't really know how to, like, what to do until something happened that led Angel to go ahead and actually seek treatment. So I don't know, take it from there.
Yeah.
And then
No, and before I start, I think it's important to know I guess it's important to have someone, a partner in your life that will not just challenge you, but also encourage you and go down to the pit with you to kind of help you get out of it, you know. And Kary would say, she's like, "Oh, you're not yourself," or "I don't understand," and like in the pictures, you didn't. Well, that was 22, right? 2022.
2023.
23, and she would. I think in the year 23, 24, she would come into while I was working. I don't even know what I did that year, to be honest. She would come in and she's like, "Hey, we need to design for GIAD. We need to make some new stuff." And I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah. And I just had
It was awful.
no desire.
It was literally like we would agree, like this week we're gonna do this. Today we're gonna do, and like he would literally sit there for 8 hours for as long our work day. Nothing happened.
No, and I don't even know what I was working on, to be honest. But what I didn't know is that I was struggling with motivation because of, you know, the depression and anxiety. And also when you have ADHD, you can't focus on anything, you know? It's like you're like, oh, it's still a struggle for me, right? To go from one thing to the other. It was a lot of different things, you know? And so the catalyst of what sort of kicked everything off, I was already in this slump or whatever, and it had been a while, and Kary and I we were just not on the same page, and we would argue or whatever, because I was just not being productive, or at least doing anything, not even being about being productive. Let me just do one shirt design. And I think it was February, I want to say. I don't remember what that convo was about, but or how it came about. I spoke to my.
I remember.
Oh, tell me, what was it?
I'm sorry. My combo with you was after your first combo.
Okay. So yeah, we'll talk about that. I'll just breeze through it real quick. So I had a convo with one of my mentors, and we talked about the business. We talked about different things, and he challenged me on stuff about the business, you know, and he wasn't necessarily wrong, but I think the message that he gave me, I was just not prepared mentally to receive, and I was not prepared to process, especially because of the slump that I had for a while, and just things were just coming to a head. It was like, this happened, and it's just coming, and it's just building and building and building, that I feel like that conversation just exploded what I was feeling, you know? And that day I remember spiraling, and I started thinking about the betrayals that I've had in the past. Is this person trying to take advantage of me? Like, I was questioning everything. What am I doing? You know, and I don't know if it was that day or the next day that I had the next day, right? So Karina had a convo. What did we talk about that day after the conversation?
Well, it's two things that happened,
Yeah.
right? It was Sunday. It was a convo with one of your mentors, and then Monday you had a convo with me,
Right.
and that's kind of what created everything. So
Yeah.
where are you at exactly?
So no, I'm already after the conversation on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I felt really bad, and I was like, again, sort of questioning my own abilities and what am I doing, and it left me in a. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Inside Out. The animated movie by Pixar.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Part 2, I didn't, and now I understand why I related to so much. Part 2 deals with anxiety, and the way they depict that anxiety was really, really, really well. There was a scene where anxiety is going out of control in the little girl's mind, and it's like this whirlwind, and I didn't know why it impacted me so much. Remember I told you, I was like, wow, the way they did that was like so good. And I just didn't realize that that's what I was dealing with. So that night, it was like that. I couldn't sleep. It was like, oh, I had this turmoil in my mind. And I prayed and I asked the Lord, of course, to help me with clarity, to help me get through it. And just, you know, just give me peace. And the next day, Kary and I got into an argument about something. I don't remember what that was about.
I think at that point, like we're sharing it, everything was kind of coming to a head. So I'm not trying to justify what I'm about to share. I'm just giving context, but it had been a year of me basically waiting for Angel to make something. And obviously we work together and we're also married. So our relationship is very like interlaced. There's a lot of layers to it. So financially, we've had to recover. So, you know, when Angel got laid off from Spotify, the decision that we made was we were going to go back into our business and we were going to take some client work, but we were going to put most of our energy into our passion projects. One of them being God as a Designer. So the fact that an entire year goes by and he has not made anything for this, it means we haven't made any money.
Sure.
And so we're just kind of getting by as best as we can. And so on a business sense, I'm looking at someone who's like who's not producing, right? So he's basically not productive. And so it's like weeks and weeks and weeks go by. And so it's like silent. GIAD just goes silent and there's no inspiration. And it's not like we don't have ideas. There are ideas. There's a lot of things that we have written down in notepads. Before he even got laid off, it was just like he could not create it. And then we have our client, right? So he has Vossen. And so I started questioning him, like, how come you can do work for Vossen when Vossen has a deadline?
Right.
You're able to do it, but you're not able to do anything for GIAD. And so I kind of started noticing that it was like something deeper than just like he didn't have an idea or he wasn't feeling it. I started noticing that it was like he had something that was literally inhibiting him from producing for this thing that he believes in. Like it's literally, it comes out of him. And one of the challenges with GIAD, it's like, it's his project. It's something God put in his heart. I support it, but I cannot make for it. Like it doesn't come from me. So if he doesn't do it, it literally like doesn't happen. And so it was all that stuff combined.
Right.
And then that day I was fed up. And so it was at the end of the day, it was a Monday, at the end of the Monday.
Yeah.
And I did a check-in. I was like, because I started getting very like not micromanagement, but like I would check in often.
Sure.
What are you doing today?
Yeah,
what did you do?
Right.
Sure. And so at the end of the day, I check in and I'm like, what did you do today? I don't remember what the assignment was, but I had given him something to do. We had agreed at the beginning of the day. We both agreed that he was going to do this one thing. So
Sure.
I check in at the end of the day and it didn't happen. So I wasn't surprised. I was just now upset that he would commit to things and then not do them.
Right.
And so the thing Angel did for that entire year is he would give me excuses. I'm overwhelmed by this. I'm doing too many operationals. It takes me away from the design. So there was like, okay, so let's get help or whatever. But like nothing, whatever. It didn't happen.
Sure.
So then that day, I told him, I looked at him and I told him straight up, I was like, you're a liar. You're lying to me. Stop lying to me. Like, you're not going to do it. So if you're not going to do it, just tell me you're not going to do it. Stop telling me you're going to do it and then not do it. And I just kind of stormed out of the room and I went to pick up our son. And then I came back. I was really angry. I was really upset. I was disappointed. I was like, it's a lot of things because he's my husband, but he's also my business partner. And so my anger was layered. It was like, where did he go? You know, where is he? And then it was like, we can't keep going on like this. Like, it's not even just about his mental health and like figuring out what's going on with him. It's literally like our livelihood.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I can't just kind of operate as like the lead forever, you know, when it comes to finances in our home. And so I was angry. So I come back home and then he shares with me something that happened, and that kind of was like the climax of all of it that led him to actually go and seek therapy. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, it was a blur. The whole conversation was a blur. I know you were upset, and the things you said didn't necessarily hurt me. It was like personally, like I don't think, not that you didn't mean it. I don't think you were trying to hurt me. You know, I think you were just frustrated.
yeah.
And I just sat here in this spot here, and I don't remember what I had on the computer. And again, I'm gonna try to get through this. I just felt me telling myself you're a failure, you know. You failed. Not because of the things you said, but because things been happening, you know. And here, I just started crying, like hysterically, you know, like weeping. And I don't do that, you know. Not that I control my emotions. I think I'm pretty. I think I'm emotional when I need to be, and I'm not afraid of it. But like sobbing, you know, just that I felt alone. I felt no one is in my head. No one understands, you know. I think I might even have said that to you. What's going on in my head? I just felt a deep sense of failure, especially after the conversation that I had the night before. And you got home. I don't even remember. I think I told you, but I don't even remember why I told you, how I told you. It was just, there was a mood in the household of like this cloud, you know. And I remember we introduced songs to Avon. Remember
No.
I think we were introducing Mr. Rogers. If you're not familiar with Mr. Rogers, I encourage you guys to like look him up. Incredible, just kids programming, really. I don't know what's the word, wholesome, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. And Kary and I were just kind of like, I don't know, we were in the mood of like, let's just take a break. Let's just kind of like, because Avon's home.
Yeah.
And we put on the song, the It's You I Like song. Our pastor, Pastor DC, Abu, doing staff retreat, she introduced that song to the staff, and we would sing it, right? It's you I like, whatever. Cute song. And so we're showing the video to Avon, and he's like, oh my gosh, you know, mesmerized by the whole thing. And Mr. Roger comes out. You guys had to see it. I'll probably put the link in the description so you guys can at least see the video. He comes out, he starts singing, it's you I like, not the things you wear, not the way you do your hair. It's you I like. And he's singing, and he's looking at the camera, because he's talking to the kids. And I felt like he was talking to me. Like, it's you I like. And I think Kary was right. I think I ruined your video.
I was filming. I was filming Avon.
She was filming Avon. And he's saying, it's you I like. And I felt like he was talking to me, guys. I felt like Mr. Rogers was talking to me. And I just started crying, I started like crying. And Kary was like there. She was comforting me. She asked me what was wrong. And I was like, I don't even like myself, I don't even like myself. And which I know saying this, it's crazy because it's not crazy. I just felt like it's unlike me because I'm not like that. I feel like I'm very positive and confident, but I've just been dealing with all this for so long and neglecting it for so long. It just came to a head.
Yeah.
And Kary was super supportive, and she was like, you need to get help. Like, this is it. You need to get help. And so I was like, I don't even know honestly, that whole week was kind of a blur. But I do know that I felt like this is not me. I have to do something about this, So that'll lead me to the next thing. I don't know if you wanted to add about anything about that.
What's the next thing you're going to talk about?
No, I'm saying what I did.
Oh, well.
Because then I was like, it was this guy's.
Well, I think, that day was like, it was heavy. So we put Avon to bed, and then it was like, we were talking. And I think there's few instances in our marriage when like we kind of like, or in our, let me say our relationship, where I would say I've done this. You've had your instances. Let me just re-say that because I'm trying to go through memory lane. We both have been really good about knowing when it's time to fight for something. And I think I have very specific examples of when I have done it in our relationship. And it's always God working through me. The first time was we were just dating, and we went through an experience where I got aggressive with Angel, and that's a topic for a different day in terms of my my anger and how I have dealt with that. But he was like, I'm breaking up with you.
Yeah.
And I was like
we're done.
Yeah. And I remember listening to a sermon. I think we went to church together, and then that sermon was kind of,
I think that week,
playing in the back of my head.
Christ Fellowship.
And I remember telling you, like, we have to, like basically bottom line, we have to fight for this. And I know some people, when they're in relationships and they go through things like that, they call it quits. And so Angel and I have always had this approach of like, no, we're going to fight our way through this. And so this night that he's talking about was one of those instances where we kind of sat down. I was like, this is the fight of your life. And I felt it really deep in my spirit. And we were just talking about it, and, talking about, we have to fight this practically, like with treatment, going to therapy, medication. If you need to, we need to fight this spiritually.
Yeah.
Like we need to pray. We need to like come against this thing. And physically, like you have to take care of yourself physically so that you can be able to fight it. I remember telling him that, like, this is it. Like the next thing that God has for you, that the next thing that your next mountaintop is only reachable if you beat this thing, And so that was the conversation that day. And it was heavy. It wasn't like, it was, okay, this is kind of what we need to face and what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
And then, and we moved forward.
Yeah. And that's what I mean when having someone that kind of goes into the pit with you to help you out. That's exactly what Kary did. And she was like, this is your fight, Yeah. It's like you're fighting for your life, I think you told me.
Yeah.
And which, obviously it's just words that really like shake you, right? And I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get help. And I don't remember who I called first. I know someone had told me about, was it in growth therapy, or what was the other one? It was another one of these companies online.
I remember.
I don't remember the name of it right now, but I found a psychiatrist to kind of do an eval, right? Because I was like, this is not normal. So immediately, I felt a sense of urgency for my son and for my wife that I was like, I need to get better, and I need to fight, obviously for myself, but for them. Whatever I need to do, I need to just fight for my family. And the way I fight for my family is by getting healthy, right? So I found a psychiatrist, and we did like a preliminary eval. That's where she was telling me that I had ADHD and that, moderate depression and anxiety. She asked me, and I'll share this, what she told me, because I think it was pretty powerful, or at least like insights into how this works. She gave me two options. She was like, Angel, do you feel like you can't focus, therefore you get anxious, therefore you get depressed? Or do you feel like you're anxious all the time, therefore you get depressed, and therefore you can't focus? Because they kind of go together. Oh, no, sorry, not go together, but they're sort of similar. And it can go either this way or this way. And I told her, I just feel like I can't focus. I feel like I can't focus on one thing, and it's a mess. And that can potentially exacerbate or kind of lead into some of the other symptoms, which is depression and anxiety. So with her, it didn't necessarily work out. We just couldn't have a schedule. So I switched psychiatrists to find somebody local, and I was able to find somebody local. And at the same time, I scheduled a therapy session in this growth therapy. This isn't sponsored, but unless they want to sponsor us. But I used growth therapy to find someone. And I found two great a psychiatrist and a licensed therapist to attack. I'm attacking this from all angles, And I think I want to say that I saw the psychiatrist first, and then I started doing therapy sessions. And everything that she said kind of went with what the other psychiatrist said. And she ended up prescribing, there's different things, but I didn't want to get into stimulants, and that's a whole other conversation. But she ended up prescribing this prescription for, and I don't know if I should say it or not, but whatever. She prescribed this medicine to help with the depression and anxiety, therefore sort of alleviating some of the symptoms. It kind of gives you a kick in the morning. It'll last all day, and it's something that takes a long time that it's in your system. You don't have to you don't have to take it forever, but it's for a certain amount of time to kind of help you get out of the slump. And so I started that, and also started doing therapy. And in therapy, I started dealing with stuff that was tough, stuff from my past, stuff that I just buried, that friendship betrayal, stuff in the family, things that I just completely. Baggage that I had that I never dealt with, that just, it got vomited all over the rest of my life, if that makes sense. It just spilled out, right? Yeah. Into Kary and into the decision making and into the business. So yeah, I started sort of attacking it from all angles. I remember when I first started taking the prescription, and that particular medicine kind of gives you like a peak in the first couple of weeks. And I peaked, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I can do anything. This was great. And then after that kind of goes away, but it sustains you. I remember when I started working on a playlist for my redemption arc, I guess. And I called it No Easy Way Out, based on this song from the Rocky soundtrack called No Easy Way Out. There's no easy way out. You gotta hear the lyrics. It's really good. The lyrics are about divorce or something like that. But whatever, it's super encouraging. I know, right? But it's super encouraging. Essentially, there's no shortcut home. There's no easy way out. Mm-hmm. And I made that my motto. I named my season. There's no easy way out. There's no shortcut home. I gotta push through. I gotta work. I gotta fight. So I felt like I was in a training montage in the Rocky movies of me doing whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. Even though I was technically going to use that for my exercise, and I never did. But that's a whole other story. Anyway, that started sort of the progression of kind of digging myself out. And Kary gave me the room and the grace to to push through that and to do it in a way where she wasn't hurrying me. She wasn't like casting judgment. She was just supporting me in that process, you know? And that was in February, March. This is when it first started, you know? What did you see? Did you see a difference? Was it fast or was it slow? Or what did you think?
No,
On
I
your,
think
what was it like on your end? I guess it's a better
Yeah.
question.
No, it was gradual. I think like he's saying, he tackled it in a few different ways, right? So he sought therapy, but you also we had real conversations, like multiple conversations about different stuff, about things, even the things from his past, like a lot of unforgiveness that affected the way he went about certain things. And I think a lot of the unforgiveness was like with men. And so it was like you were kind of like in that season of life, like a little isolated.
Sure.
You didn't have a lot of close male friends in terms of like you have a lot of friends. And then that's a funny thing, right? Because like you can see people being outgoing and like, you know, being around people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are in community with specific people that are actually walking life with. And so I think that was one of the things that we defined and addressed. And so one of the boundaries or the challenges that you agreed to was you were going to not just seek treatment and heal your heart and forgive, but you were actually going to start like working on your friendships with other guys,
right.
you know?
Yes, and that's a good, I'm glad you brought that up because I had no trust in other men. I lost complete trust, and now I understand why I always got more along with women, because they were safe. They felt safe, which is strange. I guess not that strange, but what I'm saying is it's interesting. And so I needed to deal with that stuff, and what's crazy is that I do have a lot of really good male influences in my life. Vu and my mentors and stuff, they're all male and they're great men.
Yeah.
And I never really tapped into them. And I never really, Kary says that from the outside looking in, you wouldn't even tell that I was dealing with this stuff, you know? What I learned was, of course, we're talking to the professionals, but I also leaned into ChatGPT, kind of expressing what I felt to kind of give me language, you know, to kind of, and it gave me like a lot of really good handles. I also leaned into, on Threads, I found this thing called ADHD Threads, which is like a hashtag. And when I was reading, I was like, oh my God, this is me. So I felt seen. I felt like I'm not the only one dealing with a lot of this stuff. Lack of focus and like, not being able to finish things, you know. I just thought it was all imposter syndrome, or I thought it was like, but it was a lot more sinister than that, you know. So I started sort of reaching out to my guy friends. I unplugged from like the news.
Yeah, that's another boundary.
Which was a thing, that was a hard line that I was like, man, I'm consumed by what's going on, not just in the world, but in the US, and it's been tumultuous this year. So I was like, I cut it.
Yeah,
like, I don't need that. Like
one of the key indicators. So just to help clarify, he sought treatment. We knew one of the weak areas one of the weak areas was his friendships with other guys. And then another weak area was like his focus and what he was allowing himself to intake. And it's not bad. It was just news. And so what made it bad was that it affected him.
Oh, yeah.
And it prohibited him from being himself. And so I think since 2020, it's been a baggage, just like everything that's been going on in the world at different points in life, you know, and we all get affected by our environment, our surroundings, everything that's going on. And so one of the things that I told him, and again, I don't credit myself. I really think this is like...
I think the Lord used you. I mean, exactly. That's what it was.
It was like, after one of these calls with one of his mentors, I was like, you know, the news better than you know your business.
Which-
Because Angel, every day he would give me a news report. This happened. This, and with numbers, with data, complex things, he knew what was up. But then I would ask him a question about GIAD, clueless.
No.
He didn't know. And I was like, you have to like shut that down. So like that meant unfollowing accounts.
Yeah.
We don't watch news.
I unfollowed all the news accounts and stuff.
And it's not that we're choosing ignorance, because he still does a good job of knowing, keeping himself informed, and he still cares about it. But there are certain things that burden you beyond the level of like healthiness. And I just think when you get to a point where like whatever you're intaking is bogging you down, you kind of need to kind of put a pause on that. And it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that for you in that moment, like it's not healthy.
No. And
so
I want to put like a bracket into this section and say that our brains are now wired to consume so much death and destruction and bad news all the time. Yeah. We're just not. Because the world, right now, our devices, we have everything accessible.
Negativity.
So everything that's going on in different parts of the world, it's like and we're supposed to like react to everything that's happening on top of what's happening here in our city and in our nation. So I think when she said that, she was like, more about the world, what's happening in the US than about your business, I think was a big sort of eye opener.
So that was another boundary there.
Yeah.
And then I think that was it. That I missed one. Your book. Wait.
Oh yeah. So
you started reading this?
I started reading. I haven't even finished it, but in the podcast, the Diary of a CEO.
Yeah. So it was switching the intake into things that gave you life and that helped you do the things that you're trying to achieve.
Right. And what's interesting is when the medicine started helping combat like the depression, I started kind of seeing more clarity, and it started shutting off parts of my brain. This is going to sound bad. Started shutting off worries in my mind, things that I would worry about. Not that they would disappear, but I would keep the main thing, right? What's important here, And so I felt my mind quiet for the first time in years, guys, and I can't describe that feeling. So as I went going, and I started sort of taking in content that was a little bit more productive and more positive, and the Diary of a CEO is a good podcast as well. In passing, he mentioned this book that I was reading this book, The Courage to be Disliked, and I was like, The Courage to be Disliked. It's this one right here. Maybe I should put it like, not sponsored. And I know we need sponsors. And I'm like halfway through it. I got the audiobook as well, but essentially it's a philosopher talking to like a young person, and the young person is asking him questions. And it's all about, anger and anxiety and how you see the world and things like that. And how one of the things that kind of stood out to me in this whole convo, I could read you just fire quotes. I highlighted a bunch of stuff, but one of the things that stood out was, of course, when you come in our industry, we compare ourselves, right? We're always comparing ourselves to what other people are doing, which can affect your mental health too, right? You see everyone crushing it. And obviously on Instagram, what you see is like all the highlight reels. You don't necessarily see the struggles of what people are going through. That's another sort of layer that kind of, I'm seeing all these other guys and girls like crushing it. And we're like, I'm here with the guy that's still trying to survive or whatever. One of the things that he said was that the philosopher said in the book was like, one of the people usually look at others as competition, and you feel like you're competing with others, as opposed to looking at them as comrades in the same race. So if you start looking at people as comrades or partners or people that are just you're alongside, you're supporting, or you guys are in this journey together, it kind of switches something in your brain of like, wait, we're not in competition. You're in your lane, I'm in my lane. And we're just simultaneously going to reach different goals. And that's one of the things that was like, okay, I don't want to look at people as competition. Let me look at them as comrades. And having that language, something in your brain shifts as to like, it eliminates the pressure of you trying to perform or trying to catch up or trying to keep up with colleagues that are in the same space as you, know? So I'm not I started a book and I never finish it. But it's something that I'm sort of still working on.
I think it's okay because you intook enough that helped you. And I think what we're kind of sharing here is that when you seek help, when you surrender certain things, when you acknowledge certain things and you put them on the table, results happen. You get better. And so I think what Angel did was he approached it in a way where he practically got help, but then he also surrendered a lot of things through therapy, but also through prayer, through worship, through our time together. And he found healing, not just because medicine healed his, helped heal his mind, but his heart, and not just with like the unforgiveness that was in his heart, but also just like the everyday of how he looks at himself, how he speaks life over himself, how he views other people around him. And I think a lot of times when we're going through things, the indicator of change, the indicator of healing is that you can see very practical examples in your life when you go on Instagram and you don't feel that thing that you used to feel. You don't feel the envy. You don't feel like, oh, what is this? When that voice starts diminishing more and more, then you realize you are working towards health. And so I think, we're in a lifespan, right? There's beginning and there's an end for all of our lives, but until the end, we're in progress, we're becoming. And so it's not about like, I finished a book and like, I did it. It's more so like the progression of like, in those first few weeks, you do tackling it from all sides, literally, including half of the book is what helped you get to what we're actually gonna end the episode with today, which is the celebration. Yeah,
and I want to add that what Kary just said. I think attacking it from all angles is one of the keys, at least for us. Of course, I'm talking to the guys. This is for everyone, but for us as men, is you can't just attack it from one way. You got to attack it from different ways, because you want to not just put a band-aid on this. You want to eradicate. You want to pull it from the root. And that means you doing whatever it takes to fight for your family, right? And to fight for your mental health and fight for your health, And one of the things that the first psychiatrist told me, because I told her, I was like embarrassed. I was telling her, I don't know, not that I didn't believe in ADHD or anything like that, but I told her, look, I'm a little embarrassed to say some of this stuff. And she stopped me. She was like, let me tell you, when you're sick, when you have cancer, you get treatment. When you get cut, you get surgery. But for some reason, when it comes down to your brain, which is the most powerful tool in your body, people don't want to take care of it, or people don't want to necessarily prioritize it, So she was like, don't feel bad. You're doing the right thing. The same thing with my therapist is like, the fact that we're here having this conversation, you're already steps ahead of so many, because you're trying to get help, not just for you, but for your family. And I had my moments in the therapy sessions of like, when I talk about my son and doing things for my son, which was, I want to do this not just for me, but of course for my wife, but for my son as well. So I could be a good dad for him, and I could teach him how to have healthy emotion management, not to hide emotions, but to be able to process these emotions in the right way. And the only way to do that is if I get help myself,
Okay, Papo. So we shared all of that, and now you're on the other side, right? And so the other side is also a journey.
Yeah, I would say
you're on the other side. It's a journey.
Sure. Okay.
So I'm not saying that you are out of the woods. I'm not saying any of that. And I think it's complicated.
Sure.
And we can talk about that, because we had an example this week where I was like, you better put your boundary back up on that, remember?
Sure.
So it's a journey, it's a process, right? But you asked me earlier how it was for me. Well, it was, I got my husband back. And so it was like the things that I fell in love with, right? Were back. And then the person that was like functional and like productive and happy was back. And I think if you're in a relationship, you can probably empathize with this, but it's like, it's important for me, for him to be like good and okay, not just because like he helps me with our home and with our livelihood, but just because you love the person. And so your life and the enjoyment of your life is attached to this other person, their enjoyment of life, And so yeah, like your joy was back, like your ideas. Sometimes have to be like, Angel, just stop with your ideas.
Yeah.
But like you said it, like you're very optimist. You're a very joyful person. You're very outgoing. You're a dreamer. You know, you believe in the future, and you go for things like. And you work at things, you know, and it's not always perfect. It's not always like the execution is perfect, but I've always seen you kind of have a dream or a goal and you go for it and you solve it. And for a year there, it was literally like a pause on all of that. So that's kind of how it's felt for me. And I've had a lot of fun seeing you have fun, you know. I think I'm just that kind of person, like when I think I empathize with creatives. And so when I see creative people have fun in making, it brings me a lot of joy because it means a lot of things are working properly and they're in alignment for them to have fun because it comes out of us, you know. But I wanted to share that because I think today we're celebrating something which is pivotal. It's not big, but in the context of what we just talked about, it's huge.
It's huge. Yeah.
And so Angel started designing for GIAD again. Yeah. And he was able to, it took him a little bit. I think you talked about it with your therapist. It was one of your main sessions of like, why can't I design for this? And I do think she told you, you have to release pressure too. You had to have hobbies and things that you do for enjoyment.
I took notes on all my therapy sessions. I took notes. Yeah, she gave me some really good handles. Yeah,
and so that was one of the things I had to navigate. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and you know what? This for you guys too. One of the things that she told me, it's like make sure that you set time for yourself to do something that's no pressure. You know, and at that time I think it was like I was doing the lawn and I had all these little house projects. I'm sure you guys have a bunch of different house projects. But find something that, and she was like, and you need to schedule it. You tell your wife, and it's like, hey, on Saturdays, every 2 hours or whatever. And it can't just be gaming, or it has to be something that kind of like you just do with no pressure at all. And she gave me that handle, and I thought it was really cool. You know, I started learning music production and I still do the lawn thing. The lawn is like a whole thing, guys. Spent so much money on the freaking lawn. But yeah, that was a super good handle. She gave me a bunch of handles. But I think we may go back and do other episodes talking about some of this stuff, which I think it's important. But we can't get into now. Now this is going to be like a 3-hour episode.
Yeah. But today we're celebrating you started designing again.
Yes.
And you got excited about it. Yeah. And your ideation came back and... so you were able to release your first product, which you're wearing.
We dropped, I mean, it's funny because I wasn't sure GIAD was going to survive because, not to talk about it, but the tariffs was a big problem, because we had our main vendor that does the quality stuff is in Hong Kong. And, at one point the tariffs were up and down, right? So I was like, and it goes to show the testimony of how good God is. Because I was doing all the treatment, it prepared me for the storm that was coming. Because I wasn't sure, I remember I was dealing with all this stuff. And I can only imagine if I was the Angel that I was before, how I would have handled the challenges that would come with the tariffs changing and having to find vendors. You remember? I was writing different vendors and trying to figure out ways of like, without selling hats at $150 each because everything got so expensive. So I was able to work it out and talk to the vendor, the original vendor. Through that, I found other vendors that I potentially could work with, which was great. It's a big blessing. And we prepped to drop the new 5-panel cap. It's a snapback. And I actually I sampled it first, which I think this is a sample. I sampled it first, and you notice that like it was really big. And now that I lost my mojo, I was like, oh my God, it's been a while since I've like designed it. I was like, how the heck did I even get this so big? Like I didn't even use a ruler. What happened? So I sampled it, and the vendor was like, via WeChat, we were saying our goodbyes because we were like, like it was great working with you, whatever. And then the administration rolled it back, and they realized how crazy it was. And I was able to make the samples and created like a mini campaign for it. It was only 3 hats, guys. And the first time ever that we did a pre-order. First time ever. And the pre-order was successful that I had to add more inventory. Remember, I had to order more. And it just gave me that, what do we call it?
Like a boost.
Like a boost of, I don't want to say it's for the ego or confidence, but it definitely goes to show how incredible the GIAD community is and the designers that follow the brand. Because I feel like, obviously it's my brand, but I feel like it's our brand. The way I see it, it's like it's ours and it's something that we're doing together. I don't make any money from GIAD. Like this, all the money that comes in goes back into the company. Eventually, I hope that it could pay me finally. But it was a success. I think it was a complete success, Kary, right? So we did it. We launched it. I started doing emails again. I started posting behind the scenes. So if go to the God as a Designer Instagram, there's a channel. I post a lot of behind the scenes stuff there that you can see it. And I was doing it a lot of the times. If you're like me, you want to keep your wife happy, right? And even to our own detriment, if that's the right word, or even to our own, I don't know what the phrasing would be, but we essentially put our wives first because we want them happy. But for the first time, I did this, of course, I wanted her to be happy, but I did this because I wanted to do it, not because somebody was telling me to do it. Does that make sense? Like, I was excited about it, you know?
Yeah.
And I was smart about the money too that came in, as opposed to spending on like the things that we did, like overgrowing. How do you say it? Growing too fast or whatever. Kary mentioned, she was like, this is like God as a Designer is kind of starting over.
Yeah.
But now with all the tools that we have now, and we're able to start in a way where it's healthy and grow healthy, not about how big it is or not about how many products we have, but having really core products.
Yeah.
And I can't thank you enough for obviously your patience throughout this whole process, but also like your brain and helping provide systems and processes to build this thing, you know, and the way you did it was just like, it's brilliant. Like, I mean, all the stuff fell, but she was like, let's buy a board and put stuff on the thing or whatever. And you fought me a few times with the order of things.
Oh my God,
we were supposed to drop Creativity Can Save the World first and then whatever. But I was like, babe, but trust me, like my gut's telling me, like, trust me, you know. But babe, I love you so much. You're a genius. You're a genius. And I'm so excited for what God has planned for you and what he's going to do through you. It's just going to be incredible. We're supposed to end the episode on a high note. We are on a high note. We're on a high note. You're just brilliant. And I don't think you give yourself enough credit. I'm glad you're finally waking up to how much value you bring, you know, to things. And I've heard you say it a few times. You're like, this is, I should be charging more for this, you know? So anyway, the pre-order was a success. Thank you guys for those of you guys that supported. And we even still have some in stock. It's coming in.
It's coming in finally.
Which is huge, guys. You don't know. It's been a year and a half, right?
It's been a year of not making anything. Then we finally made something. Then we didn't have the money to produce it because we haven't sold. Well, we haven't made anything to sell in here.
Yeah.
So it was like, do we borrow money? Do we trust our fan base? And Angel decided, I'm going to just do the pre-order and then see how they respond.
Let's see what happens.
And you guys responded so well and you encouraged him and you reminded him that you want the product, not for the sake of the product, but for the messaging and for what it stands for. And so then that fueled him more. And so now we're working on the next drop, which if you're in the channel, in the broadcast channel, you've already seen it. I think you've posted it too.
I posted about it on Instagram as well,
which is a full collection. And so it's exciting. So we're having fun. And I think that's the main thing. That's the main thing we've learned. We need to grow this thing at our pace. We need to grow it the way we feel called to grow it. And that means it doesn't need to look like other things. And we need to have fun.
Yeah.
I think that those are the main lessons that we've learned, even besides the mental health things and just the year that we've had. But with the investments, when it was healthy, we were trying to make it look like every other apparel brand. We have to invest in this.
It's got to be cool. It's got to be whatever.
Yeah. And then we've just kind of learned like it can be what we want it to be. Yeah. And we can just have fun with it. So it's been it's been a lot. It's been very freeing. And so
Yeah.
thank you guys for supporting it, honestly, because it means the world that you care.
Yeah. No, for real. Like,
So
I do surveys pretty often, and this is really cool to see
Yeah.
all the feedback that we get on some of the
and so
designers.
we have a lot of ideas for the next
Sure.
year. We have ideas for even the collection after the creative ops one.
Yeah, we have plenty ideas. We have. What we need is money. You know, so
we do.
Vision we have. So anyway,
So we did it. I'm proud of you.
praise
It's a
God.
work in progress,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
And so in it with you. I'm for you. We're gonna. What a sad, emotional. Is that sad? Anyway, guys.
I held back.
I know. I think you can see the.
Why don't you, now since we're ending the episode, why don't you plug some of your stuff that you're working on?
Okay. Well, guys, it's really weird and hard to do that.
Plug.
Well, I think you guys know that I've been working on figuring out like this teaching side of me. And I think we'll probably do another episode talking about that journey and what that's felt like for me. But I keep gaining clarity. One of the things that I've learned is like the answers are in the work, in the process, in the doing. And so I'm getting a lot of answers, but I've got a course that I'm working on. I think it's like 70% that I have to film it for the creative director. So if you're a creative director and you want some clarity on how to like lead people in teams and have really clear vision of like your next steps and what you should be doing, this thing's for you. And then I have all my trade tools online, which are like, I'm realizing about me, I'm like a systems girl. And so a lot of the freebies or the tools that I have online are for teams and people that work together. And so probably if you're a leader, creative director, an art director, or just you oversee creatives, a lot of those things are for you. But that's what I'm working on. It's called Hazy.
Hazy. Let's go.
And so right now it's being hosted on my website, karyelis.com. But I think one day it'll become its own thing, Hazy.
Sure.
We're just, trying to not spend money on extra domains.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, so that's what we're up to. We're building, we're putting things together. God has put different things in our hearts and we're just trying our best to steward all of it. And so that's the journey that we're on. But I got to make my elevator pitch a little bit better, but I was not prepared. No,
I think that was good.
The elevator pitch.
I think they get it.
Well, guys, that ends our episode for today. I don't know what episode is this of whatever season we left on.
Honestly, we're still in season 3, but
season 3 episode,
like episode 4 or 5, maybe. I don't know, something like that.
Thank you guys for being here. And how do we end?
Keep making beautiful things, and don't forget the best things are
made in house.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for joining Made in House. On your way out, if you would be so kind to follow, subscribe and or like our episode in the relevant social media platforms. Feel free to share this episode with your colleagues. And, as always, keep making beautiful things.